Hello, America. I'm Erick Erickson. Thanks for tuning in to 4 Things to Know this afternoon. As always, we're cut through the noise and get to the truth behind today's headlines. Let's get right to it. Up first, there's an AI impersonator targeting Secretary of State Marco Rubio. It's a wake-up call about the dangers of artificial intelligence in the wrong hands. The State Department has confirmed someone used AI to impersonate Marco Rubio, reaching out to high-level officials, including at least 3 foreign ministers, a U.S. senator, and a state governor via signal and text messages. The impersonator created a fake Signal account with Rubio's name and used AI-generated voice messages to target officials. The goal? To extract or manipulate sensitive information. The FBI and State Department are investigating, and while the scheme wasn't particularly sophisticated, it's a stark reminder of how quickly AI can be weaponized for deception. This is the future of misinformation. It's here now. We're already seeing deepfakes and AI-generated content muddy the waters in politics and the media. Now it's being used to try to breach national security. If you can convincingly fake the voice and mannerisms of a top official, you can sow chaos, manipulate policy, even trigger international incidents if we're not careful. This is a direct result of our institutions lagging behind the technology curve. Bureaucrats in Washington are always a step behind the bad actors, whether it's foreign adversaries, cyber criminals, or just garden variety scammers. The Biden and the Trump administrations have both struggled to get ahead of AI threats, and this incident shows just how vulnerable we remain. The State Department says it's boosting cybersecurity, but let's be honest here, until there's real accountability and a willingness to overhaul outdated systems, these threats are only going to grow. Conservatives have long warned about the risks of unchecked technology, especially when it comes to government security. This is why we need robust verification, less reliance on digital shortcuts, and a culture of skepticism, especially in Washington, D.C. If you get a message from a senior official, don't assume it's real. Verify, and verify again. The future of national security depends on it. Up next, the president is talking about DOGE cuts, saying he would have done it differently. This is the ongoing fallout of the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, better known as DOGE, and its sweeping cuts to the federal workforce. President Trump, at a cabinet meeting, defended the need for the government overhaul, but he said, quote, "We could have done it differently. I would have done it differently, a little bit, maybe." DOGE was Trump's brainchild for streamlining government, but its implementation, especially under Elon Musk's leadership, has been controversial. The cuts have been deep, with thousands of jobs slashed at agencies like the EPA and Homeland Security and Health and Human Services. Entire programs gutted or eliminated. The stated goal was to root out waste and redundancy, but critics have argued the cuts went too far, too fast, and sometimes targeted programs had real value. Trump's comments today signal a bit of buyer's remorse. He praised the exodus of the EPA, but he acknowledged that not every cut was a win. He said, quote, "You can always second guess. I guess some of the people in this room maybe would have done it slightly differently, and some would have done it exactly the way it was done." Government bloat's real. The federal bureaucracy is overdue for a diet. But efficiency isn't just about slashing headcount. It's about making sure the programs that matter, like national security, infrastructure, public health, that they're protected while the waste and duplication are cut. Conservatives want government that works for efficiency and that consumes fewer taxpayer resources. Sometimes a cut actually costs more than it saves. There's also the political angle here. Trump brushed off concerns about the new America First Party started by Musk, saying, quote, "Third parties have always been good for me. I don't know about Republicans, but for me." Now, that's classic Trump. Confident, but also a reminder the conservative movement's bigger than any one person or party. The challenge is to keep the focus on results, not just rhetoric. The lesson: streamlining government is necessary, but it's got to be done thoughtfully with an eye towards real-world impact, not just headlines. Also, there's a subtle suggestion here. Trump's going to start blaming Musk for failures, and that puts Musk's new party in hand, with everybody from the left to the right mad at him. Up next, some good news on the public health front. The CDC has officially ended its emergency response to the H5N1 bird flu, citing a significant drop in cases and no new human infections since February. Now, here's what you need to know. The emergency response was deactivated July 2nd. Oversight and monitoring will continue, but updates will now be folded into the CDC's routine seasonal flu reports. Over the past year, 70 people in the U.S., mostly farm workers, were infected, with one fatality. The CDC says the current public health risk from H5N1 is low, but there's no reason to sugarcoat the challenges. This year's response was hampered by some staff departures at the Department of Agriculture, driven in part by the DOGE cuts. The government canceled a $700 million contract for bird flu vaccine, raising questions about preparedness for future outbreaks. This is a classic case of the tension between fiscal responsibility and public health. Yes, government needs to be lean. It also needs to be ready for real threats. Conservatives have long argued for targeted, efficient spending, making sure that when the government acts, it does so with purpose and accountability. The CDC's decision to wind down the emergency makes sense given the data, but the lesson is really clear here. Preparedness matters. We can't afford to be caught flat-footed by the next outbreak, whether it's the bird flu, COVID, or something entirely new. Cutting waste is good. Cutting muscle, not so good. Lastly, the president is announcing a 50% copper tariff. It's our final story this afternoon, and the tariff, specifically Donald Trump's announcement. He's going to impose 50% on tariff and a 200% tariff on pharmaceutical products, though he's going to give a year to a year and a half grace period for drug manufacturers to bring operations back. During a cabinet meeting today, Trump said, quote, "Today we're addressing copper. I believe we established a 50% tariff on it." He also signaled pharmaceutical companies will have time to shift production stateside before facing new levies. The rationale: to protect American industry and jobs, especially to reduce dependence on foreign supply chains, especially in critical sectors like metals and medicine. Copper prices jumped on the news today. The industry groups are already warning about higher costs. But for Trump and many conservatives, it's about leverage. For years, the U.S. has allowed key industries to be hollowed out by cheap imports, often from countries that don't play fair. Tariffs are a blunt tool, but sometimes they're the only tool to get attention. Let's just hope they don't stick around. There's a national security angle here. Donald Trump has argued foreign imports of copper, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals threaten our ability to respond to a crisis. By giving companies a window to bring manufacturing home, he's betting the threat of steep tariffs will spur real investment in American jobs and infrastructure. Free trade is great. Big fan of it. Free and fair trade, even better. When other countries subsidize their industries, manipulate currencies, or exploit loopholes, we've got to do something. Tariffs aren't the end goal we hope. They're a means to an end, a level playing field for American businesses and industries. The challenge is to strike the right balance. Too many tariffs, you risk high prices for consumers and retaliation from other partners. Too few, you invite more of the same hollowing out of a plagued American infrastructure. Donald Trump's approach is aggressive. It's a response to years of inaction by both parties. The question is whether Trump wants to use tariffs to get better deals in return for no tariffs, or if he's committed to long-term policies of tariffs. Right now, he appears to actually believe the tariffs are a way to raise revenue and a means of conducting global trade, which is long-term a terrible idea, and our economy is going to suffer if the tariffs remain. Those are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and our YouTube channel. It helps us grow. I'm Erick Erickson. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon, things you got to know before you get home. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and please keep the faith.